Zoro. I've come for thee. Your life shall be reaped by this glorious scythe. And when you stare back upon your life, you...
Excuse me? Hi, my name's Matt. I don't know what really you're doing right now, but thing is it's 10:30 and I kind of reserved the room to do the review, so I was wondering if you could just maybe wrap it up pretty quick, or
Oh my God, I am so sorry, man. What time is it? Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I have to hire a secretary or something. My schedules are just all over the place right now. I apologize so much. Oh my God. Okay, can you just give me like an extra 30 seconds to wrap it up, and then I will be out of here.
Oh yeah, no, go right ahead, wrap up. I just wanted to let you know that, whatever. It's fine.
Okay. All right. You have escaped this time, Zoro, but I will be back in about 18 minutes or so, give or take. Whoa! Once again, I am so sorry.
No need to apologize. You're good. It's fine. Okay then. All right. Hey everybody, how you doing? Tekking101 here, back again to review One Piece, chapter 1038, titled Eustace Kid and Trafalgar Law versus Big Mom. Holy shit, was that the Grim Reaper? Actually, wait, there's no way that could have been the Grim Reaper. He didn't talk with a Jamaican accent. We all know the Grim Reaper talks with a Jamaican accent, right? Okay, so we start off the chapter with the cover page serial, The Germa Double Sixes, Emotionless Voyage, okay? And so this is actually where things get sort of intense. So the first part of this, I just assumed it was the whole Germa kingdom leaving Totland, like they all managed to escape. And the second part was we saw Ichiji and Reiju and Judge on the deck of the ship sailing away from Totland, kind of just looking like full of malaise, just like, we had this big epic battle and we didn't really get what we wanted out of it, but we managed to escape, but now we're like defeated. Well, chapter 3 is where things get intense, because now we cut back to Totland at Cacao Island, and guess what? They all didn't get out. No, Niji and Yonji have both been captured by the Big Mom pirates. So we see Cacao Island there, in that little plaza there. Remember where Ovens set up the giant mirror for Luffy and, to jump through, and then they were going to ambush him, right? So they're in that plaza. We have Ovens sitting right in front of one of Montdor's books. Montdor had the book fruit. He was also the Minister of Cheese. I don't know which he puts on his resume at the top, Minister of Cheese or wielder of the book fruit. I'm going to say the cheese. But anyway, no. So he has the ability, of course, to make books, and he can trap you in sort of like a trippy book dimension, where you're like hallucinating, but he can also like physically trap you in a book, as we saw with Nami and Luffy, and it seems like it's impossible to get out of the books unless the books are physically destroyed. Like the way they got out was, Jinbei used his abilities to create water. Well, I can't remember if he used the fire to get them out of the books or if he used the water to soak the books. Either way, it doesn't matter. If you do something to destroy the paper, whether burning it or getting it wet, that will release the people from the books, okay? And so even Luffy, with all of his strength, remember when Luffy was pinned, he was like tacked to the book. He was trying to like stretch out his body to jump out of the book, and he could not do it, okay? So it doesn't seem to matter what kind of hockey or devil fruit powers you have when you're stuck in those books. Unless somebody destroys the paper, you're in that book forever, okay? And so we have a book open there. We see Niji and Yonji on their respective pages tacked in with the little nail or whatever, and Oven is just watching them. We also see Pudding off to the side. Pudding is, she was on Cacao Island as well when she said her farewell to Sanji, and she kissed him, but then she used her memo powers to remove that memory, and so then Sanji left. So Pudding is still on the island, and she's just kind of looking at the book, looking very, very nervous. She's just like, oh, and I don't know if she's nervous because she's afraid they're going to find out that she let Sanji escape, or if she's nervous because these are like Sanji's brothers, even though Sanji did not care for his brothers at all. Like, I can guarantee you, if Sanji found out Niji and Yonji were in this predicament, I don't really think he'd care all that much. Yeah, I guess he did technically sort of save them at Totland, where he like broke their candy shackles and gave them the raid suit canisters, but I don't think Sanji really cares all that much about them, right? But this adds a whole new dynamic to this. I'm assuming Oven is like interrogating them right now, and oddly enough, we actually don't see Mont d'Or there, even though that's clearly his ability. We don't see him in this cover page, but he has to be around somewhere. But Oven is probably like, hey, open up the prison book. I want to interrogate the Germa. Okay, so he's probably going through, he's, you know, like, where did Judge go? Where are you guys at? You know, what was your plan? Why were you trying to assassinate Big Mom and everything like that? Also, keep in mind, Totland is lacking a lot of its power right now, because Big Mom left and she took some of the heaviest hitters like Smoothie and everybody to Wano. So Oven is clearly there. I think Daifuku actually went with Big Mom to Wano. I remember Daifuku being on that ship, but I might be wrong about that. Katakuri did not go to Wano, so he's probably there as well, recovering from his injuries, as is Cracker. I don't think Niji and Yonji, just because of their conditioning, would ever spill the beans about Judge or the Germa. Like, it's probably programmed into their brains at this point, like, you will never sell out the Germa, you will never tell them anything about me, and they lack empathy. And the name of this cover story is like their, you know, cold-blooded, emotionless voyage, okay? That's the whole point of the Germa. So it doesn't matter if they were tortured or even threatened with death, they would not sell out Judge, or rather they are like physically incapable of selling out Judge. Just how Reiju said, like, you know, I might have a little bit of empathy other than my brothers, but I still cannot go against my father's orders. It's probably the same deal, even more so with Niji and Yonji with their conditioning and stuff, right? But that also brings up a question, not so much if Niji and Yonji are going to sell out the Germa, but what is Judge going to do, okay? Is Judge going to go back to Totland to rescue his sons? That's the thing, and this might be a little bit of, I don't know, the Judge redemption arc that Oda might be going for or whatever, where they're like sailing away. And I mean, yeah, you could always say like Judge would go back to rescue them, not because they're his sons, but only because like, oh, well, they're a fighting force for the Germa or whatever. Now, Judge does sort of have a little bit of, like, he does love his sons, because we kind of saw that in the backstory, and that was also the reason he gave to Sanji and why he didn't just kill Sanji. He's like, you know, you might be a failure of a Germa, but you're still my son, so I guess I can't kill you. So it has been shown that he has a little bit of care and love for his sons, but he also, you know, really wants the Germa to continue on and succeed. And he might be struggling with that right now. Like, do I go back to Totland? Because if I go back to Totland, in the state that the Germa kingdom is in right now, we might not make it out alive. We might just all end up captured or dead, and then the Germa 66 legacy is over for good. There will never be another chance. We'll all be dead. Or will he go back regardless and be like, well, I need to rescue my sons? And that might be the twist. It might be like, even if it results in the end of the Germa 66, I will save my sons. And the funny thing is, at the end of the day, even if Judge went back and did succeed in rescuing Niji and Yonji, they probably would not care. You know, they rescue Niji and Yonji and they're just like, why would you rescue us? Why do you even do that? You know, aren't you supposed to continue on with the Germa? And then Judge starts crying and he's like, but you're my sons, I love you. And they'd be like, Dad, get off of us, we don't care. You know, you should have just left us for dead. It just like, that's how it works. It's a weird family dynamic, but there you go. So, yeah, that was a twist I did not expect, so we'll see where that goes from here. Very interesting cover series this is starting out to be. All right, so we start with the actual chapter now. We're inside the castle, and we continue right on with the epic ninja bout between Raizo of the Mist and, say it with me now, ladies and gentlemen, I should do a dance, like a dubstep remix of this. Fuku Rokuju! Fuku Rokuju! Fuku Rokuju! Yeah, okay. So they're fighting against, you know, each other, right? And they're locked in their paralysis jutsu technique, which actually, it's funny because they're like holding out their fingers like they're holding on to something, and some people are actually thinking they're not usually actually using like paralysis jutsu like from Naruto, you know, like paralysis technique or whatever. They're actually just like trapped with like steel wire or something, like razor wire, and like they're stuck and they're like holding the wire, and like that is the paralysis jutsu, which would be funny as well. But okay, last time we saw them, Raizo was beginning to catch fire, and Fuku Rokuju was like, hey, you know, you're gonna catch fire first, Raizo, so you gotta release the wire, and then, you know, you'll die, and then I'll manage to get away. And Raizo had that really badass line where he was just like, are you kidding? I'm one of the scabbards. I can take the heat, you know, because of course, you know, the whole pot of boiling oil that Odin was in, and, you know, they were over for a long period of time, right? So now, Raizo is completely bathed in flames. Like, literally his entire body is up in flames at this point. Fukurokuju's body begins to set aflame as well. Like, his long cloak is now on fire. So he's not as bad as Raizo, but he's definitely feeling the heat. Like, he's beginning to panic. He's just like, Raizo, release your jutsu already, or both will perish. And then Raizo doesn't say a word, probably because he's on fire and it's a lot of pain right now, but he's just like panting, and he's just like, ugh. Ooh, okay, like he's just doing that. And you see the strain in his eyes, and he's like this fierce look in Raizo's eyes. And that line that, you know, Fukurokuju said, like, if you don't release it, we'll both die. Yeah, I think that's what Raizo's going for at this point, Fukurokuju. He's a member of the Scabbards. He literally had to go through time and space after his master Odin died. So for Raizo, as a ninja, right here, right now, if this is the way he's gonna go out, taking out the head of the Orochi Oniwaban, you know, following in the footsteps of his samurai daimyo, of Odin, you know, Odin died in a vat of boiling oil, and so, you know, Raizo's gonna go out in a similar fashion. Like, Raizo's 100% cool with that, right? The Scabbards kind of all acknowledged at the beginning of this battle, like, this might be it. Like, we might have to die in order to bring Kaido and Orochi down. So, you know, Fukurokuju, he can't stand the heat. He's really freaking out. Raizo is determined, okay? And it really does hurt him. I mean, he's literally on fire right now, okay? So, yeah, that's the case. But we'll see what happens. I think Fukurokuju is gonna let go of his jutsu first, and then, you know, Raizo's gonna launch like one final attack, like Blazing Shuriken technique or whatever, and then finish off Fukurokuju. And then he's going to pass out immediately after. Probably not going to die, but I could see that going down, right? So it's really cool that we're focusing on that battle. Now we cut to the second floor. So that's the floor directly below. Like, the third floor right now is where the fire started, I believe. That entire floor is just gone at this point, okay? And now we go to the second floor where some people are running around and the roof begins to cave in from, you know, the fire upstairs. And so a bunch of these samurai are about to be crushed. That's when Jinbei shows up, fresh from his battle with Who's Who, and he just, like, grapples the whole damn ceiling, and he's just like, oh! It's just like, you samurai must flee! Pick up the injured and get out of here before the fire encroaches on us all! And Jinbei also thinks of, like, how the hell is this fire spreading so fast? Obviously referring to the Kanzenbo, that, like, fire ghost that was just phasing through the walls, lighting everything ablaze as it went, okay? So Jinbei's there, and at this point, like, we cut to the live floor next, we're no longer in a battle anymore, okay? The battle is over. This is now basically a scramble to get out of a burning castle. There's a few fights going on with main characters, you know, like Raizo and Fukurokuju. Yeah, Raizo is a main character. Screw you! Raizo is a main character! At this point, he's a main character, alright? We got Law and Kid, obviously, fighting against Big Mom, and then we have Luffy and Kaido, obviously, but other than that, when it comes to, like, the small fry fighting, yeah, that's all over at this point. There's, like, fire to the point where it's just like, alright, we were having a good fight, but now we should probably get out of here if we don't want to be charbroiled, right? Okay, so everyone's running out of the live floor. You know, there's explosions going on in the background. We then cut to Chopper, who's in his baby Gramps form, and, Tristan. That was the name of the squirrel mink. So Tristan is the squirrel mink that's like the nurse, and then Miyagi is the goat mink that's the doctor, right? And so Tristan was kind of holding on to Chopper because he's so small now, he can literally fit in like the palm of your hand. And then Chopper's just like, hey, what's going on? I start feeling strange. What's going on? Is it time for my pill? And then all of a sudden Chopper just pops back to his original brain point form, and he lands, and he's just like, oh, okay, I'm back to normal. Alright, so that was, I see, that was the drawback of that new and improved Rumble Ball. That's good to know. Yeah, here's the thing. He was stuck in that form for a while, okay? That wasn't like a drawback of like, oh, I have to be stuck in this, like, you know, short, tiny, you know, vulnerable form for like 2 minutes or whatever. No, he was stuck in that for a while. I would argue that he was in that Rumble Ball state, the Monster Point state, for like 30 minutes. I think he could stay in that state, not indefinitely, it's 30 minutes, but, you know, he could do that, and he was probably in this form for 30 minutes, if not longer, okay? Time frames are always a little bit funny with One Piece, but suffice to say, he cannot use that move all the time now. At least Chopper states that he's aware of the drawback, and this was kind of the test run of it. That was the new Rumble Ball that Caesar developed, right? And so he's like, okay, so I get to go into Rumble Ball, I get to go into Monster Point form for like 30 minutes or whatever, but now I'm stuck in that form for that amount of time. Okay, good to know. So Chopper, though, is not so much worried about himself, is that he's more worried about Zoro. Because he's like, hey, Zoro took that really, experimental medicine from the minks, and what was that again? Like, oh yeah, it gives you an insanely powerful healing factor, temporarily able to ignore all your injuries. But then after the medicine wears off, you get double the amount of damage back, okay? So I don't know how the hell a medicine like that is even developed, but the minks developed it, right? And so Chopper starts putting 2 to 2 together here. He's like, wait a second here, hold on. So Zoro was already pretty banged up by the time he took that medicine. He took a combo attack from the Yonko, from Big Mom and Kaido, right? He took a combo attack from them, broke like 23 bones or some insane number, and then he took the medicine, and then he fought against King and took some serious hits from King, freaking Pteranodon flying into him at like Mach 3, knocking him through walls and shit. And it's just like, okay, so now he's gonna get double all of that pain. Oh, I hope you don't die, Zoro. Like, Chopper's like, wait, this might be a serious problem. We might want to go make sure he's okay. And so now we cut back over to Zoro's location outside. He's still conscious. Maybe he might be hallucinating because he's hanging out and,
excuse me?
Oh, yeah, actually, hold on. Okay, go ahead. It's your turn. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Zoro, your time has come. You avoided my Reaper sight several times before this, but now the bell tolls for thee. But first, I have to read through all of the things that you managed to do in your life before I decide to take your soul. Just a formality, really. Okay. So, oh my God. Oh man, this is a lot longer than I thought it would be. Wow, you've murdered a lot of people. Oh man, oh my God. The guy was made out of metal and you just sliced him apart. Oh jeez. It's like, okay, you know what? I don't usually do this. Really just you and Chuck Norris, but, I'm just gonna give you a pass on this one, okay? Yeah, I don't have health insurance doing this, okay? So just, bye. Oh.
Yeah, that would be my reaction too. I have nothing against you, man. Nothing against you. Okay, yeah. So Zoro sees the Grim Reaper. Like, there's no getting around it. Like, there's not like, I guess it could be a hallucination, possibly, but like, it's the straight up Grim Reaper. Like, Oda makes no attempt to draw this thing, like, in a comedic element or something like that. Like, it's like Zoro's there, and then the Grim Reaper shows up with his giant scythe, and then Zoro's just like, hey, Brook, come on, quit joking around here. These skull jokes of yours have gone a little too far. No, it's the straight up Grim Reaper. It's death incarnate, all right? It's just like the old school Grim Reaper that you would see in, like, those old drawings back during the plague in, like, London and stuff, right? He's got the tattered cloak. He's a skeleton. He's got the giant scythe about to reap your immortal soul. When Zoro's lying on the ground in rubble and he looks up and he's just like, who the hell are you? Like, he's talking colloquially to the freaking Grim Reaper, right? He's just like, who the hell are you? Right? And you see, like, I don't know if it's like the world around him, like, warping, but the area around the Grim Reaper begins to, like, distort. That also might be, like, the fog of the afterlife, because you gotta keep in mind here, Brook is confirmation in the One Piece world that an underworld exists. Brook's ability is literally to channel the power of the underworld into the mortal plane, and he does so through his sword. He makes ice abilities from the underworld, okay? So a land of the dead, maybe not hell necessarily, but a land of the dead certainly exists in the One Piece theology, okay? I don't know if Oda's ever gonna go into an elaboration on it or anything like that. The Straw Hat's journey to Hades, or whatever. But that place certainly exists. So if you want to say this is just Zoro's hallucination, like he's so close to death, he's seeing the Grim Reaper, that's whatever. But if you also want to say, like, this is the legitimate Grim Reaper that has actually appeared in the One Piece world, and it's just like, all right, Zoro, you've skipped out enough. The Grim Reaper, I want you guys to understand this. The Grim Reaper did not appear when Zoro did his little nothing happened moment at Thriller Bark. The Grim Reaper wasn't there then, nor was he around any of the other times in this story where Zoro was a hair's breadth away from death, which means that he wasn't a hair's breadth away from death. This is the closest Zoro has been to death in the entire story. That might be what Oda's trying to tell us here. You know, after he took all that pain from Thriller Bark, we did not see a Grim Reaper. All the damage he took, like at Sabaody, we didn't see a Grim Reaper. Training with Mihawk, never, you know, attacked by Mihawk at the Baratier, never saw a Grim Reaper. We see the damn Reaper sharpening his scythe over Zoro right here, okay? There's another theory that I did see that it's actually not like a bad thing. It's not like the actual Grim Reaper here to like reap Zoro's soul. It's actually like a Bleach Zanpakuto type situation where it's actually like it's the Zanpakuto spirit of Enma. Like, Enma appears as a Grim Reaper. Yeah, I don't think that's the case. I mean, like, kind of, because it's like, Enma is the king of hell, and now we have a Grim Reaper, which hell and the underworld are not really the same thing, and you can't really say, like, king of hell is the Grim Reaper. I mean, there's definitely similarities there, but it doesn't sync up quite as well as you probably think it would. And also, the Grim Reaper looks like he's straight up about to just cut Zoro's head off, like, right? It doesn't seem like, I am here to help you and give you your Bankai, you know? It seems like it's the Grim Reaper, all right? Now, this is awesome, by the way. I just love the fact that Oda put this in here. This is so foreboding, right? It's like something straight out of, like, Castlevania or something, right? It's like Malcolm McDowell death from Castlevania Season 4. But anyway, yeah, he appears, and something that will probably happen, Zoro's like, hey, man, he can't move his body. His body's like immobile, so he's like, oh man, what are you doing with that thing? Put that thing down! Like, Zoro's kind of freaking out a little bit there because he can't move his body. Sort of like he has sleep paralysis, so he might be hallucinating right now. By the way, has anybody actually had sleep paralysis? It's terrifying, right? I've only had it once in my life that I can actually remember, and it was like I'm lying in my bed staring at my ceiling, and I like open my eyes, and you can't move your body because when you go to bed, your body basically like dopes you up with like a certain chemical to prevent you from like flailing around in your sleep. So sometimes you can wake up, like you could see and you can hear, but you can't move. And so you're like also in and out of dreaming, so you're kind of hallucinating along the way. So I kept opening my eyes and looking at my ceiling, and I saw a spider on my ceiling, and then I would kind of like go out of it and then open my eyes, and the spider would be bigger, and then I'd fall asleep again and wake up and the spider would be bigger, and then I wake up and then like the spider's beginning to like, you know, like have a thread. It's like slowly getting closer to my face, like the spiders from Courage the Cowardly Dog or like Aragog from Harry Potter or some shit. And I'm just like, oh my god, this is the most terrifying thing ever. And then finally I just had to convince myself to just shut my eyes and never open them and be like, okay, Matt, there is not a giant spider in your bedroom about to chew your face off. It's not gonna happen, right? You're hallucinating, there's something going on here, all right? So I finally just shut my eyes, and then I eventually just fell asleep and then just woke back up like normal, and I'm just like, okay, that was terrifying. But if anybody has to suffer with that on like a nightly basis, dear God, that's horrifying, right? So that might be what Zoro's experiencing right now. He might just be hallucinating, can't move his body, and he sees death. Something could happen, like maybe, like, oh, because in the very next scene, we see Frankie arriving, not arriving where Zoro is, but he's heading to where Zoro is. He's like, damn, Zoro, how far did that Pteranodon throw you, right? Because King knocked Zoro through a bunch of walls in order to get where they are right now, right? And by the way, we don't happen to see King. We don't know where King's at. King also probably fell down. He's probably bleeding out, but we don't see him in this chapter. But Frankie is busting through. He's blasting walls apart. He's knocking people down. He's just like, Zoro, where you at, bro? So he's looking for him. So I think Frankie's gonna show up, and it would actually be a fun scene if like Frankie shows up and then the Grim Reaper like disappears. Like Zoro thinks he's so close to death, and then Frankie arrives to help him. Or maybe Frankie will fight the Grim Reaper. Oh my god, can we have... Okay, Oda, I understand what you're doing is probably symbolism. Like, it's not probably like the literal avatar of death appearing over Zoro right now. But Can we have Frankie fight the Grim Reaper, please? Can we have Frankie? The Frankie versus Sasaki fight was good, but I don't think it was really, it hadn't really satiated everything I wanted to see Frankie do in this arc, right? I wanted to see some more stuff with Frankie. Running over Big Mom's face in a Harley, that was pretty good too. But can we have Frankie just show up right before the Grim Reaper's about to bring down the scythe, and Frankie can actually see it too? And he's like, whoa, what the hell is that? And the Grim Reaper's just like, whoa. And then Frankie's like, holy crap, it's the Grim Reaper. Weapons left. And he just launches rocket launchers, RPGs, Gatling guns, uses a flamethrower against the Grim Reaper. And then we just have this weird freaking scene where like Frankie's just brawling it out with the Grim Reaper, grabs his freaking throat, and he's just like, you need to build some muscles on those bones. Bam, bam, bam. And just Frankie's like beating the shit out of the Grim Reaper, snaps his scythe in half and knocks him down. It's just like, that's what you get for trying to take out my friend Zoro here, all right? And then Frankie just, super! I have bested death! All right, Zoro, let's get you to Chopper. It's just, and then he just hauls off, and the Death is on the ground. Like, why is he a cyborg? You know, that would be funny, man. That would be great. Probably not going to be what Oda has in store, but that would be awesome, right? Okay, so now we cut down to the basement level where we see Izo, okay? We actually see the first floor attic at first where Izo was fighting all of the Beast Pirate members that were coming to eliminate Kiku and Kinemon. And so all of the Beast Pirates that Izo was fighting are now defeated, and the entire attic is in flames, okay? So Izo, I guess what happened after he gunned down all of Kaido's men, he jumped from the first floor attic, and now he's in the basement level, okay? So he lands, but he's bleeding pretty bad. He has a pretty bad wound on the side of his stomach, and he's bleeding a lot, and he's just like, oh man, I got careless there. So I guess what happened with Izo is he thought like, hey, I'm only up against like the waiters and the pleasures of the Beast Pirates, like it's not a big deal, I'll just gun them all down. But there were a lot of them, so he was just like gwomped. He was just like overwhelmed. So he did manage to take them all down, but he took some serious injuries along the way. Plus he was already injured, okay? So he's like, oh man, I took my, opponents lightly, and this is what happened. I'm all banged up. This isn't good. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to, maintain consciousness much longer. So as soon as he lands in the basement, though, he notices something in his like peripheral, and he pulls out his flintlock here. He's just like, he lands and he's just like, oh man, this isn't good. And he just like pulls out his gun, and it's CP0. So it's like, he's like, oh man, at least I'm done with, whoa, Kaido, no. He's just like, oh man, at least I'm done with that one boss gauntlet. It's like, why is there boss music playing again? And just turns and it's the CP0, and he's like, oh shit, come on man, I didn't even get to a save point yet. Like, alright, I guess we're doing this. You ever like play a video game where it's just like, why are you making us do this? At this point, you just have like 3 bosses, now a 4th one. Do you have any mercy, man? Right? So, CP0 shows up, and they're like, ah yes, we are Aegis Zero. You're Izo from the Whitebeard Pirates. Tell you what, actually, we didn't even see each other today. Nothing to see here, sir. And they just kind of keep walking, because the idea, they even say to Izo, is like, we knew you were here, we got intel that you were on the island, and we're members of Cypher Pole, so we can't just let you go. You're a former member of Whitebeard's crew. You're a former member of a Yonko fleet. Okay, we can't just let you go under normal circumstances, but you know what? The whole island is going, down pretty much, like quite literally. It's on fire, and we're here to look for Nico Robin and the Straw Hats. That's what we're here for. We have certain orders that kind of like go over this. So tell you what, we will meet another day, Izo. And they just continue to walk on. And Izo kind of has a moment where he stops and he kind of thinks for a second, and then he just kind of like, he raises up his gun and he's just like, wait a second, Cypher Pole. And he just kind of turns to them. Now, a couple of things here. I would say there's one way, because he doesn't like point his gun right at them. He's not like, wait a second, Cypher Pole, bam, and then just starts opening, and then he starts just blasting, right? He kind of raises up his gun, and he says it very seriously. So I'm thinking, like, does he want to ask them something? Like, maybe he wants to ask them a question? Maybe there's something he wants to know? Or is it just kind of a thing where he's somber because he knows he's going to die here? Because he knows that he's here to kind of help the Straw Hats too. He can't just let the Cypher Pole Zero go and capture Robin or the Straw Hats because he owes them a debt. And he's just like, you know what? This is it. I'm so injured, there is no way. I mean, even if Izo was at full health, I don't think he could take on, you know, not just one masked member of Cypher Pole Zero, but also two of them here. He wouldn't be able to really, you know, hold up to that anyway. So I think Izo realizes that, like, I'm gonna die here, but I have to at least hold them off for a little while. I can't let them just go and eliminate or capture the Straw Hats, right? So he holds up his gun, and he loads it, and he's ready to go, and he's just going to start fighting. But yeah, I don't think he's preparing himself to die, is what I think this is Izo's doing right now. I mean, I guess it could be something else. He could be like, I want to ask you a question or something about the government or something, but it's not like they would answer him. So yeah, I think this is kind of a serious moment for Izo. We'll see where it goes. Now we have a double-page spread where we focus on Yamato. So Yamato, this is really intense. Yamato has finally made it to the armory. Okay, so she's running down the stairs. She arrives at the armory right at the same time the Kanzenbo shows up. Like, this is very dramatic. Like, just as she is running into this giant armory, like, warehouse, where literally, I'm not even kidding you, there are giant, like, you know, Wile E. Coyote Acme bombs just hanging out in the middle of the floor. They're literally like giant bombs that you would see in a cartoon, like the round bombs with the fuse poking out, and then the Beast Pirate logo is on top of them. They look like giant fireworks, basically, like giant firework mortars, and they're just in the center of the room, and the Kanzenbo is just, whoa, it's just appearing down from the ceiling about to hit them, and it's very close. And Yamato uses Ice Fang, and she goes into her hybrid Makami form and blasts an ice wave at the bombs. So it like freezes the bombs in ice. And it's like, okay. But the Kanzenbo hits the ice and begins to melt it. And then, you know, Yamato's like, no, get away from there. So she launches an ice attack against the Kanzenbo. And that's when we find out a little bit more about this thing. Because up until now, this thing just seemed to be like, it is like a mindless blob with eyes that like carried on the will of like Kanjuro and Orochi and the Kurozumi clan. But now it's actually beginning to speak. So when Yamato hits this thing, it's like Orochi-sama, and then like an arm begins, like an amorphous arm begins to blorp out of its body and begins to attack Yamato, and just like so basically we have a battle here between fire and ice, the hatred of the Kurozumi clan, and Yamato, who embodies Odin of the Kozuki clan. So this is a very interesting fight here. Yamato versus a blob of fire. Not what I expected, but sure, here we go. So, yeah. We don't really see much more of it. Yamato gets bathed in the fire, and then the blob begins to kind of speak and like, and then that's it. We just cut away from it, okay? So Yamato, I'm assuming if Yamato's ice powers can actually injure this thing, because we've all played Pokemon, ice is super effective against fire, right? Right? Hold on, let me check. Alright. Ice type chart. Nope. It turns out it's the other way around. It's the other way around. Okay, so, but this isn't Pokemon. If there's one thing we know about One Piece, it's not Pokemon, right? So, Yamato, I hope she actually wins this, because if not, you know, bathed in fire, that's not gonna go well. Okay, but now we cut to the main part of the chapter, which is Big Mom, Mama, fighting against Kid and Law. And this starts off in a way that's not very reassuring on if Law and Kid are gonna win, because they were already banged up last time we saw them. It literally opens up with Big Mom just like curb stomping them with lightning strikes. Just like, lightning bolt, bam! Lightning bolt, bam! Ma! And then they just get hit over and over again. We see a scene, Law's on the ground, knocked out, Kid is on the ground, his pupils are all like whited out and everything. He's like, ah. And then you have the Kid Pirates on one side and the Heart Pirates on the other side. Remember, the Heart Pirates like Sachi, Penguin, and Jean Bart, they rode up on Momonosuke. It was kind of hard to see. There was one panel where they actually clung onto the side of Momonosuke's tail, and that's how they got up here, right? So anyway, they're off to the side. outside watching this display. They can't do anything because it's just lightning strike after lightning strike. They can't even get near them. But they're like pleading with Big Mom, like, Big Mom, stop, please. They're already dead, for God's sake, please. And she's like, lightning bolt, lightning bolt. It's just like she's had it with these guys, right? She's just pumping them full of like 1.21 gigawatts, right? Anyway, she does that, and then she's just like, okay, Hera, this is it. I'm beat. Let's just get out of here. She mentions, like, Kaido hasn't let out the roar of victory as he's wont to do, so something probably must be going on up there. Don't tell me that Straw Hat managed to defeat him all by himself. Whatever. Hera, take me to the roof. I'm beat. Let's finish this off. So she mentions that she's beat. I mean, she doesn't look like she's about ready to pass out, but she looks like, you know, she's been through a lot of fights. The damage is accruing at this point, okay? She mentions she's tired. And so Hera begins to take her up, and then right as Big Mom is like, the glowy eyes are going on, like, this is the end! That's when Law manages to get back up, and he's just like, alright, oh boy. K-Room! And then he opens up his K-Room, his awakening. He does the same technique he did before. He throws the sword, Kikoku, through the bubble of room. And then this time, though, the sword enlarges. Did it enlarge the first time? I think it might have enlarged the first time. Anyway, he enlarges it, and then boom! Stabs Big Mom right through the face with it, okay? So Big Mom's kind of like here, and Law's like down on the ground. He fires the sword. It goes through Big Mom's right arm, hits her right in the cheek, and then goes out the other side. So just like, oh! And then all of Big Mom's pirates and everybody in the Beast Pirates, they're just like, Big Mom's dead! He killed her! He shot her right through the head with a damn sword! And then Law's off to the side, and he's just like, don't tell me that this did not hurt the first time. Now, the damage externally doesn't actually hurt you. So the act of like piercing her arm and stuff, that didn't actually hurt her. But this will. Shock Willie! Which I love the name of that attack. Shock Willie! Alright? It's just like, yeah. It's like, okay. So the focus of K-Room is it deals damage internally to you rather than externally, okay? Kind of like the inverse of a lot of other awakenings that, have the Devil Fruit ability affect things around you, okay? Its Law's ability is internally, okay? So it deals damage to her, and like blood begins to just spew out of Big Mom. Like she just like, it's like a water pipe under a shit ton of pressure, and it's like, like blood begins to just spew out of her neck, out of her face, and she's just like, and she's just like dropping, and Law and Kid are there, and then Kid gets back up, and the homies, the I-beam homies that were like, from the metal constructs that, Kid used last time, he gathers them back together. He's like, why don't you beams just shut up already and listen to me? So he uses his awakening to gather the magnetic force and makes a giant mechanical bowl. Alright? And Kid is like, listen, I don't care how much you are like, Big Mom and the Yonko and you're so cool and everything like that. There's no way in hell you are not taking damage from this, okay? All the fights you've been in up till now, all the damage you have taken, he says, even a trickle of water, even rain, can wear down rocks over time, I didn't take Kid to know something about, like, erosion or something. Kid puts on a pair of glasses. He's like, actually, in the processes of erosion, mountains can degrade over several millennia, but no, he's just like, you have taken damage. It's just that Big Mom is the way she is, like, she won't, like, outwardly show the damage as much, but she is taking it, okay? Kind of similar to Kaido in that respect. And so, with that being said, in that little essay on erosion, Kid creates a giant mechanical bull named Punk Cornadio. So he's dealing with Dio powers right now. Kid learned that he has to bust out the power of Dio in order to defeat Big Mom. That was a good maneuver on his part, absolutely. So he uses this giant mechanical bull and then just rushes Big Mom. Just boom! Just hits her square on with this giant attack. And then we have this scene where it knocks Big Mom back, and the last scene of the chapter is Kid and Law, and they're just like, I don't care if it kills us, we are not letting you get to the roof. Boom! End of chapter. No break next week. It's happening, alright? Holy shit. Alright, that was an amazing chapter. That was so epic. We got stuff with the Germa. We got stuff with Raizo and Fuku Rokuju. We got the damn Grim Reaper as a canon character in One Piece now. That's probably going to warrant a few SBS questions on Oda's part, I would imagine. Then we have Izo going up against the Cypher Pole. Then we have boom, Big Mom just lightning bolting the crap out of Kid-in-Law, but they still get up and they're just like, I think everybody at this point has kind of acknowledged that, like, yeah, they might die at the end of this battle, but they don't even care anymore. You know, Raizo has acknowledged it, Izo has acknowledged it. Kid-in-Law outright just say it at the end of the chapter here, like, doesn't matter if we die, we're not letting you get to the roof, which also proves that it's just like they have trust in Luffy, they have faith in Luffy to an extent, and just like, Luffy can defeat Kaido, we trust in him, he can do it, Straw Hat can do it, we're not gonna let you get up there and ruin everything, okay? He's putting his life on the line, we're putting our life on the line, that is how we are doing it, okay? And Big Mom just accruing all this damage, I don't know, man, like, she took 2 shock willies to the face, okay? So she took a wet willy, all right? That's bad, all right? So she's probably gonna get up next chapter, but it's probably gonna be a thing where she's like, Mama, you think you can eliminate me? And she might try to do that thing again where she tries to eat her own soul to get bigger, but what if she tries to do that and she's just like, I have infinite power for my soul? Oh, Mama. Boom! And then she just collapses because it's just too much strain on her body. Because I imagine if she just keeps ripping off parts of her own lifespan to make herself bigger and bigger, that has to cause, like, damage to her at some point. She's literally shortening her lifespan. And with all the damage she's already taken, her body might just, like, it might implode. It's like she gets so big, it's like, I am now the biggest mom! And then its body just explodes. Alright, sure, why not? Fine. But yeah, that was an epic as hell chapter. I'm glad we got to see Grim, you know, ever since Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy ended. I'm glad we got to see him again getting work. I want to see Brook, actually. Not even, I mean, the Frankie and Grim Reaper fight would be so cool, but I really want to see Brook meet the Grim Reaper. I mean, that would be so cool. It was Brook the whole time. He was just in costume, you know, just the whole time. But yeah, I don't think Zoro's gonna die, obviously, but I think this is Oda telling us, like, this is the closest he's actually been to biting the dust in the entire story, which definitely speaks volumes about the damage that Zoro has taken from Yonko plus King, plus the medicine he took, doubling the damage. Even at some point, Zoro's health bar has to get into the red every once in a while, you know what I mean? That means I guess he was only in the orange when he was at Thriller Bark. Okay, sure, why not? But anyway, insanely good chapter, a lot of stuff to talk about. Hope you guys enjoyed. This will be Tekking101 signing out. Later, everybody. Holy crap. Shock Willie!